Detroit, and indeed we became twins. My wife is very jealous. There's no reason for that, I'll keep on explaining. However, it's been a tremendous ride. The 90 days that followed since the 25th of November were really probably the most trying and challenging we've ever seen. We were a very small team of 4 people battling this unusual war over Saab, but clearly with the support of so many dealers, so many enthusiasts, and I'm very glad that Christian Skopjear is here today. Thank you very much for staging the Saab convoy, one of 60 around the globe. We're here in a former Saturn showroom. I haven't seen any convoys for saving Saturn, or let alone Hummer. There's something about this brand that brings the best out of people. And it gets people to go in the street like a genuine demonstration and say, save Saab, don't let this company go down. And it's been a tremendous support for both Jan-Åke and myself and everybody at Saab to see it through. How difficult it was, it really didn't matter. There was this unbelievable power pushing us forward to save the company, and we did. And thanks to you very much for appreciating all the work that you've done with all your colleagues around the world, this let's say, informal guerrilla type of structure where people were going into the streets to support this brand. So how could this happen in the first place? It's a very interesting question one should pose myself. How can it be that a minute company like Spyker, which I started 10 years ago, and we've made 250 cars in our entire history, how can a company this small buy a gigantic company like Saab? Right? How can that happen? Well, the reason why that could happen was because of what I call the perfect storm in this industry, where all of a sudden, because of a worldwide crisis, the sales in the car industry drop off the cliff by 20, 30, or in the case of Saab, even 60%. Something that this industry had never seen in our lifetimes before. And because of that, very unusual circumstances started to arise. A GM, the largest car manufacturer in the world, going through a Chapter 11 situation, being forced to dispose of a number of brands, such as Saturn, Hummer, Saab, and a few others. That is very, very unusual, particularly if they had to resort to the holy grail of all holy grails, the American taxpayer, for money. And basically that's where the situation arose that they had to divest of Saab. So why were there no other OEMs interested in buying Saab? It's, I mean, a lovely company, and we bought it for the price of the wind tunnel. I've joked many times. It's, if you come to think of it, it's really hard to mention that we bought this company for $74 million. 9.5 ready for production. 9.4X ready for production. 9.3 basic engineering done, ready in 2 years. How can that happen? Well, they were all in the same boat. They had their massive layoffs, they had their reorganizations, they were reducing their capacity big time, and their boards, shareholders, and unions would definitely not allow them to make an expansion into Sweden, of all places, with a 200,000 car per annum capacity to actually increase their capacity whilst they were actually scaling down big time. So it was a unique moment in time that Spyker just happened to be at the right time, at the right place, to do a transaction that under normal circumstances would have set back any buyer a few $1 billion. Well, good for us, and good for Saab, because we're here to stay. That is the prime message. Saab now being saved in our first 100-day plan. We have set out, Jan-Åke and myself have set out to meet all the dealers, all the suppliers, all those who really matter for the future of this business, many individual customers, in order to convey the message that we're here to stay, that this is a company you can trust, that this company has its business plan fully funded, that this business will come up with wonderful new product, and that we will get our own customers back. Many times I have said about the customer that we don't need any new customers. Of course, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but in fact, it's true. Saab doesn't need any new customers. Saab only needs its own customers back. And there are so many of those. There are 1.5 million Saab drivers around the world. There are 4.5 million people that have driven a Saab at one moment in time. If 3% of those would buy a Saab, we would be fine. And this is not a comparison like I'm making toothbrushes and I'm selling a toothbrush to every Chinese and I'll be a billionaire, right? This is a real equation. People that have ever driven a Saab love their Saabs. They truly love them. But they left the brand for various reasons. Because they felt that Saab had lost some of its brand DNA under the stewardship of GM. True to some extent, but also not true. Look at this. Saab was allowed by GM in 2005 to develop the Aero X, the beautiful concept car which stole the show at the 2006 Geneva Salon. It marked the beginning of a new Saab design DNA, which was very consistently followed through by Anthony Lowe and his team. And it brought us the 9.5, and the 9.4X is absolutely in the same design vein. This car is what I would refer to as a Saab. This is again a Saab with all the design DNA in the right places. And it's the beginning of a new line of products that will be really, really much appreciated by those who have left the brand because of a lack of design DNA. Also, the customers left because they couldn't get the car they wanted. They couldn't get four-wheel drive. There was no crossover. There were many things lacking in the product portfolio that they simply couldn't get under the Saab banner. Well, that's changing now too. And within 2.5 years, this car is going to be the oldest car on the showroom floor in every Saab dealership. Now that's an unprecedented situation. And we're in charge of our own future, right? It's not like we have to ask anyone. This is just happening because it's been set in motion. Actually, most of it has been set in motion years ago, and it's going to be executed. On the other hand, being an independent company, as we are now, it also puts a lot of responsibilities on us. Nobody will come, no cavalry will come from Detroit if there is a lack of money. Right? It's our responsibility to make it work, and we will. We will make it. The product is there, the client is there, we just have to re-engage the dealer body, and of course Canada is a situation which is even more unusual than we've seen in many other markets. This was the first market basically where GM terminated the Saab dealerships very early on, and no new car has entered this country since June of last year. Now that's a serious situation, and that's why we, Menaki, myself, Adrian Hallmark, we came specifically from Europe here today to show our commitment to this market. This is potentially a very important market for Saab, and we are determined to make it into a big bang, a success. And the attention of the Saab dealers and the passion of the Saab dealers, or I must say actually the former Saab dealers in this country, is remarkable, and we're absolutely convinced that with their support and the support of the customers in the end that will have to sign a check and buy our cars, we will bring Saab back in no time in this marketplace. Nobody said it was going to be easy. A lot of damage has been done over the past year, but with the new product and the enthusiasm and passion of the dealer body, I'm convinced that we will pull it off. I'm very grateful for you to be here today and listen to us holding our speeches and seeing our new product. I think it's the kickoff of a new beginning of Saab in Canada, and we're very pleased if you pose some questions. We didn't fly all the way here